So welcome. We're thrilled to see you. How are you? Where are you now, and how are you?
Good. I'm in Columbus. Just drove back down from Cleveland. Spent a couple of days with the family, just hanging out. Nothing much to do. And yeah, just got back here home about an hour or so ago. So it's pretty excited to jump on with you guys.
Were you in Washington before this?
Well, I haven't been in DC ever since I think we got pretty much booted. I want to say the 13th of last month. So I almost been back a little over a month now. I've been back here in Columbus. Columbus is now home for me. Super close to Cleveland. Like I said, it's only a 2 hour drive. I can feel like I'm gonna go right up to Cleveland and right back. So yeah, so I've been out of there. And the good thing about that, we got out of there where we were in that area. It got quarantined and shut down so fast, maybe like 2 or 3 days after we had a chance to leave because our season was pretty much postponed before they canceled it.
Right. So what's your life been like in the COVID-19 quarantine life as we know it thing?
It's kind of been a bittersweet, honestly. It sucks that pretty much the whole world is on shutdown, but it gave me an opportunity to spend more time with my family, my kids, and kind of be around my loved ones because right now, when you're in your profession, and you guys are going to learn this, everybody want to go into the sports industry when it comes to broadcasting. When I say it's sports all year round, no matter what type of you guys want to go, guy, I forgot your name, I'm sorry, but you're the big Reds fan. You want to go into baseball. Guess what? One, you guys got the longest season ever. Two, you guys are always going to be on call because of athletes doing, things in the off season, good, better, and different. So you guys are going to always be in season. And just like for an athlete, even when you're out of season, you're spending so much time working on your body, working on your craft, and things like that. So this is the first time that I can literally say I'm not in football or sports because such a bad thing as the virus. But like I said, it also gave me an opportunity to really be around my family and my kids more.
That's awesome. I mean, and I'm guessing, I mean, in light of the news that we've seen, it's the news is not getting better in the sense that the league is now kind of consolidated itself in light of the virus. And so, what did they tell you about that, and what were kind of the communication and the expectations coming out of the news from the XFL?
So when it first happened, it was so crazy because I think that the 13th was a Thursday or a Wednesday, I can't remember. Before we got pretty much they postponed the season, we were in practice. We was having a heck of a practice, and we can just tell things were crazy because this is when I think PGA had just postponed, tennis had postponed, MLS, all in one day, and then we getting off the practice field, walking back to our cars, getting ready to go to meetings and stuff, and we're like, dude, everyone is like, postponing, like our season is pretty much over, we're going to get postponed, and we played that following Sunday, and I think in my personal opinion, I was like, you know what, guys, we're going to play Sunday, and I don't think we play after this, because I'm like, well, knowing the business side of things, of sports overall, money almost rules it
Right.
outside of health. Now, granted, if it was a health issue with players, more players are getting hurt and things like that, I don't think nothing would have been canceled. But such a worldwide pandemic, they had no choice but to cancel it. I was like, yeah, everything's going to be canceled. We'll be only playing on Sundays. Our rating is going to be amazing.
Right.
But they end up canceling actually the day after practice. Well, that day after we got done with practice, and we left the next day.
So, Brennan, you have a question? You want to jump in?
Yeah. So kind of with the XFL and the situation that it is, I think I saw something about them filing for bankruptcy and stuff like that. Have you kind of taken some time to think about what you're going to do in the future once we are kind of back to normal or somewhat normal?
Normal and
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually have a buddy named Fred Grill. He owns a dealership, a car dealership down in Bellefonte, Ohio, and he just closed doors and laid off us employees because the growing concerns and things like that. And one of his main things, he's such a people person, and I know that hurt him to the core. So he posted on his social media, I think it was Facebook. I never usually comment or interact with people on Facebook or social media, period. And he said, like, I'm looking for words of encouragement during this time period. I'm laying off my employees and things like that. That sucks. And I told him, this is a great opportunity, not just for you, but over 85% of the world who's laid off right now to think about what they like outside of what they were doing. what other goals they have, what other dreams they want to chase or wanted to chase but didn't have time to because of whatever the situation may have been. And me personally, some of the things that I'm interested in and already was kind of planning for life after football is what the financial world, communication world, getting to broadcasting, maybe getting to coaching. And I never had the opportunity to explore any of them opportunities because of football is all year round pretty much for me. So with this, like I said, it's kind of a blessing in disguise for me, not only being around my family and my kids more, but having an opportunity to explore the other things I'm really passionate about. So with the XFL, pretty much don't like it's going to return next year or whatever it may be. And if I don't get invited to NFL camp, or if I don't get on the NFL roster this upcoming fall, this would be my first year out of football since I pretty much started playing. But it would give me the opportunity to branch out to other things I love to do.
So, it's funny that you made that comment earlier about this is the first time you've done something with school that wasn't school that you had to do. And
Yeah.
you are legendary. And that, I mean, you embraced that to such a great degree. But can you tell us, like, in hindsight, what did going to Ohio State mean to you, like, both as a student and then as a football player? Like, how does it kind of, what's its place in your life?
Oh, look at that.
You.
Just learned something new. Oh, wait, I was blocking the camera. Maybe if I turn it this way. I don't know.
That's perfect.
Oh, okay, that's better. The whole Ohio State experience was unreal for me. I had an opportunity, and I speak of this actually a lot when I have an opportunity to speak at speaking engagements and just interact with conversation with people who are curious about the way my career played out, curious about my opportunities, curious about my experience at Ohio State. And I was so blessed to see both sides of the spectrum when it comes to being a student athlete who had all his goals and his mind made up. You're going to play in the NFL for 100 years. You're going to be first pick and all this other stuff. To being that guy to realizing that it's most likely not going to happen. So I realized that at a very young point in my career. We had 2 Heisman Trophy frontrunners at quarterback in my room. That one was in the same class as me, Braxton Miller, and one was younger than me. And I'm like, pretty much, you guys, I love my team to death. I'm going to do whatever I can, keep supporting my team, but I'm screwed. I'm never going to play. So that being in that position, it helped. I was kind of preparing for life after football before football was way over. So one thing that Coach Meyer and his staff always done since the first day we walked on campus was to try to how can I say it, reduce that statistic with the players not knowing what they want to do outside of football. So we had these things called Real Life Wednesday when he brought in all top, people from the financial world, people from the business world. It doesn't matter. We did surveys as players, so what type of people we want to come in and emulate and do shadow jobs with, internships with. And Coach Meyer and his staff made sure we had them type of people in, the Jamie Dimons of the world, the Cameron Mitchells of the world, the George Kaufmans of the world, things like that. And it was great because it was so many local people doing so many great things that, we were interested in, even from the CPD to the fire departments and Columbus and things like that. So when we had opportunities like that, I kind of took advantage of them at an early stage of my career because I realized football might be over sooner than I wanted to be over.
Right.
What
was it like making that leap from, you had such a storybook time at Ohio State, if you think about it. An undefeated quarterback is not something that you see often to win a national championship. You came in and did those amazing feats in a very short period of time, and then you go to the NFL. What's it like when you make that transition?
The transition from, even going back further than that, from high school being a top recruited guy to walking into on a campus where everyone was toply recruited, to having to take them back seat to players that you might have felt that you was better than, and players that you probably wasn't better than. It was definitely a shell shock experience, just like any other freshman with experience, not just in sports. When you go into definitely a campus like Ohio State, you guys remember your freshman year not knowing your freaking left from right. Walking around that campus like a chicken with his head cut off. Definitely going to some of these freaking classrooms and just looking like, oh my God, like where do I fit in? But the transition was extremely difficult. it was more difficult for me from college to NFL just because of understanding. But I loved it though. Just understanding that it's your job now. Like, there's no more, it was tougher in college because you got, you wake up, you probably got workouts, you go to class, you go to practice, and you got meetings after, and then you got study table, then you probably got homework if you don't get it all done, study table, and God forbid you got an exam that night. So that was tough because it was trying to balance, the student athlete aspect of being a student athlete, the student part of being a student athlete. But now in the NFL, it's all about your job. It's all about your craft. It's not a regular 9 to 5. Yeah, you got your set hours, but if you think you're just going to get it by doing them set hours, you probably won't be there for long.
Right.
So that time when I'm getting up early for a training table or something that deal with school wasn't there anymore. So what are you going to do to make up that time? Are you going to get up early, go to the office early to watch some extra film or work on your body? And then what are you going to do after that as well? When your mandatory hours are pretty much over, but we know that mandatory hours is not going to get the job done. So it's all about, taking advantage and really being a pro. That's where you really see the dip between players in their second and third year. And it's usually from what they were doing outside of the 8 hours that you're kind of subject to have.
Right. Danny, you want to jump in with your question about the XFL?
So yeah, it's like, what went into your process of joining the XFL? Like, how did that come to fruition?
Okay, so my main thing was always I never wanted to be a guy, and I mean it's a double-edged sword when you talk about players in the NFL that bounce around from team to team to team, to practice squad to active roster and all that stuff. It just at some point it's all about being in the right place at the right time in the right situation. So it's almost a little bit of luck plays into that. And I wasn't fitting into that pretty much in that bubble. So I had just got released from the Chargers and I signed with the Seahawks, and I was there for like a week and a half. And it looked like I was about to become one of them journeymen who bounced and bounced and bounced. And I was like, I really don't want to be that guy. And I remember Minnesota, Dallas, and Jacksonville calling me to bring me on a practice squad. In the same midst of XFL was calling. And one of the head guys, a guy named Doug Whaley, he was my GM, the GM who drafted me to the Bills, who've been explaining the XFL opportunity to me, like, hey, you're going to come in, you're going to be one of the guys on one of these teams, you're going to finally have a chance to start and play, and now you can show what you're able to do and not just in practice, I mean, it's like practice is important, but people want to see what you can do in the game. And you being behind a guy or two, your opportunity is going to be slim to none. So that's what really played a part. I didn't want to be a kind of a bouncing around guy on the teams. It gave me an opportunity to be at the face of a franchise. It gave me an opportunity to pretty much allow a coaching staff and a GM to build a team around me and see what I can do with it.
Murphy?
Cardale, what are some of the big differences between playing in the XFL versus the NFL? Like, are there any similarities, or is it a totally different beat? Or are they totally different?
I get this question a lot. Football is football at the end of the day. I think that the major rules that were changes didn't affect me as far as like the kicking game. Like, I don't know if you guys caught any games, but how both teams line up on the opposite 35 and things like that. At the 30 and 35, and then the punting game, like no one can advance down the field, even the gunners until the ball is kicked. So I think it made the game a lot safer. Even though we only played 5 weeks, I mean, still was a lot of games overall. We had no injuries on special teams. Not just talking about concussions. I'm talking about the sprained ankles, the blown knees and things like that. Things that you see from two people or two teams running full speed at each other, because we eliminated that. Well, they eliminated that cushion of building up that speed to, I mean, you 2 steps, you right in front of the guy. And there's not much speed and force momentum is built up from that point. And it was still a lot of exciting plays. And another big thing was the whole antics of, a lot of people don't know in NFL, the quarterback has a communicator. He has a headset in his helmet. And it's only a one-way communicator. So you can hear what the coach is saying, that's it. So he tell you to play, that's it. And it cuts off at a certain time. So 15 seconds on the play clock, it cuts off. So if you didn't get the play, or if you did, there's no way to pretty much communicate back. And in XFL, all skill players had the communicators, so the coach can talk to all skill players except the offensive lineman, and it didn't cut off. That was by far, I hated that. because it got to certain points, definitely in practice. Our coach was basically playing Madden with me in practice. I'm back there in the play. I mean, the play is going, we going full speed. He was like, hey, he's open or towards it. I'm just looking like, hey, what are you doing? And that slipped up a couple of times in the game as well. So I think that kind of handicapped me a little bit by him pretty much having the opportunity and ability to communicate with all the guys. And it was a couple of times I remember where I saw something and I was going to check a play and he was screaming back with our communicators who's going to everybody who's hearing me, who the guys I'm trying to check the play with, and he pretty much overrided it. But like I tell him all the time, like we as quarterbacks got the best seat in the house. If we see something, you should have the trust and the ability and a comfortability to understand that, hey, if he's checking it, it's something for a reason. So I hated it.
Nathan, what's your question?
Yeah. I just curious. You see some athletes, like Tim Tebow as an example, try and hit their test in the waters a little bit in other sports like baseball. Would you ever consider looking at any other sports?
Golly, not this late in the game because them guys I know how hard I've been working just to get my foot in the door in the NFL and being a professional athlete, and them guys have just been working just as hard all their lives as well. So I wouldn't even disrespect them by trying to jump into, and you got your buddies and you watching basketball games or baseball, and you say, man, I know I can get 10 points in the NBA and stuff like that. You're like, yeah, no way. No, and but that just Tim is a unbelievable athlete, and I think he got in at a great point, and he just happened to have a passion not just for football, for baseball as well. But for me personally, whenever that opportunity, that door closed on sports and football, I'm gonna take advantage of my other passions and goals.
Colin, what was your question?
Yeah, were there any real life Wednesdays that stood out to you the most, and maybe the lesson still translates to today?
Yes, Jamie Dimon. JP Morgan Chase CEO, Jamie Dimon, chairman. He gave a message basically saying he don't want, when it comes to business, he don't want anyone, because I think he took over Chase Bank as a CEO, I believe. Right after, I can't remember the events, but they wasn't performing as well as they should have been performing, and they made the change to Jamie. And the strides that he took and the things that he did to change that, change the brand, to change the perspective on Chase Bank and overall as a branch and as a brand was unbelievable. And I think one of the key things that stuck out to me when he said he don't want anyone working for Chase Bank who speak of Chase Bank in third party. You should be speaking of Chase Bank like you own Jamie, like you own Chase Bank. You're not just an employee. You're a legit asset to the company. And whenever I get into, because I'm actually into a couple of different business opportunities now that I've been taking advantage of, I wouldn't want anyone to work for me or under me that isn't speaking of my brand as our brand. Because as you guys know, I don't know what you guys do for a living, but at the end of the day, the employees make that company. Like I was being a quick story about some horrible travel experience I experienced probably like last year. And it was I'm not even gonna say the airline because it doesn't matter. And I'm pretty sure it's an amazing airline. It's a real reputable airline. But flight attendant made my experience really bad. Really bad. They were extremely rude and a couple of things. And I went to Twitter. I voiced it on Twitter. And of course, having a strong following on Twitter, the company's reaching out to me, and then I actually thought about it, and I was strictly bashing the company, but that ain't got nothing to do with the CEO. But your employees are a reflection of you as the brand. And I attacked the brand to the fullest, man. I was just going off on them like, yeah, you guys are crap, and I'm never flying you guys again, and blah, 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 blah. And, but yeah, you want people who work for you or under you or with you to speak and to treat that as their own. So Jamie definitely had the best message. Cameron Mitchell shared some pretty cool things, and these are guys who I grown to have respect for and pretty good relationships with, and guys I can bounce ideas off and things like that. He pretty much started his businesses got into the food business because, and clearly I'm trying to paraphrase it because it's been so many years ago, and I don't want to, give out false details. Definitely on the friends come up, but he basically started in the restaurant business, working in the kitchen and freaking cooking, cleaning, then learning how to cook, and then having an opportunity to open up his businesses and things like that. And just he started basically because he saw how it was ran and didn't like it, and he figured he can do something better. And clearly, you think of Cameron Mitchell, you think of all the great successes he had with a lot of different of his restaurants and the different ones that he has. But he failed, but that didn't keep him down. And a good thing about him as well, he has so many great things that they have overlooked the failed restaurants or the other failed business ventures that he had.
Right. Curtis.
Yeah, Cardale. So earlier you mentioned about how just chaotic the life of a student athlete was. This brings up the question, do you think that student athletes do deserve to get compensated? And if they eventually do one day, how do you think that'll affect the game that they play, whether it be football or, anything from football or women's basketball?
Dude, so I had it, like I said before, I think I had one of the most different. I experienced college and college football and overall athletics so differently from everyone else. Just the way I exploded on the scene and had the opportunity. I was that guy who was going to be 80% of the guys who go to these major universities and never have an opportunity to play. Just because of, like I said, sometimes it's just being in the right place at the right time, a little luck, God forbid, injuries. And I've been that guy who's getting his head beat in every day in practice. And I would like to feel like the way I prepare per practice, I'm going hard as I can. I know I'm not getting game reps. I'm helping our team. I'm helping our defense get ready for what they're going to see Saturday. But my name, my recognition, my play isn't going to be shown because that guy in front of me might be a step faster. He might be a step better. But I like to think that I played a part in getting these guys ready. But no one would never know my name. On top of now looking at when I was the guy playing, and I know some of the guys, the younger guys that I was going against every day in practice who was giving us unbelievable looks, and it made the game that much easier. But their names never would get noticed because a guy in front of them might have been a step or two fast or whatever it may be. So I definitely believe that student athletes, all student athletes, because it's the same situation on every point in every sport, you got a lot of people who's helping the starters get ready. They should get paid, but I just don't know how you police it just because of that example I just gave you. I would like to believe that our scout team players are just as more important than the starters. I would like to believe that it's just going to be so differently, and I don't know how you police and manage how much you pay a football player versus a basketball player, or men's sports versus women's sports. I don't know how you police it, but I also can see it becoming a problem. So it's a double-edged sword because you're not going. If you pay everyone the same, now you got that star athlete who everybody wearing that number 12 jersey, looking at that scout team player who, because you're going to have some guys on the team that's just there to be happy because they wearing Ohio State jersey or Akron University jersey. It doesn't matter. We're just going through the motions, and we getting paid the same. And you also and if you don't get paid the same, you're going to have that star athlete getting all the big bucks when that scout team player who's busting his butt, who's getting his head knocked off in practice, who's giving the best looks he can, and putting in just amount of work, time, and effort, and might not just have the opportunity. And like, golly, he's getting paid way more than I am, and I'm just as important as a team. On top of, like I said before, how do you differentiate it from each sport and things like that? So I think the student athletes should get paid, all student athletes, not just the majority student athletes who bring in the money from the football, from the basketball, to the track, to the baseball, whatever program that your school is deemed to be. But I think they should get paid some type of compensation.
Tyler, you had a question kind of similarly.
Yeah. Piggybacking off of that, we're seeing a lot of those guys that aren't getting those starting reps, not necessarily scout team guys, but the second and third string guys that are utilizing the transfer portal now more than ever before. I just want to get your opinion on that. And then also, do you think you would have used the transfer portal if it had existed while you were in college? Knowing everything you know now and then also just in the moment. I mean, now it sounds like you really enjoyed that experience and it built you into who you are today. But in the moment, I mean, as a 18, 19, 20-year-old college kid like we all are, what do you think you would have done just with that point of view?
This is the transfer protocol is one of the first things I ever agree with the NCAA with when it comes to the student athlete, honestly. And because it finally gives that student athlete some control and some power of his situation. You guys think about before the protocol and portal, and you guys are sports, sports journalists, want to be sports journalists, things like that. If you would have saw a guy want to transfer, what was your first thoughts? Anyone?
What do you guys think? What would you have thought?
He might not
Colin?
be happy. I mean,
What's that?
like he might not be happy. Like, and it
Okay, he might not.
be
Okay,
football related, but
yeah, he might not be happy, or okay, I'm gonna go with my first thought being an athlete, being a competitor, that we think that everyone's gonna think that we hear if we even mention transferring to your family, your friends, whatever. Oh, which you can't beat that guy out. Oh, which you're scared of competition. That's because that's what your coach is going to say, and that's what the perception is going to be. Imagine you got 2 4-star, 5-star recruits going into the same class at running back. Well, clearly only one is going to play and one's going to be starter, one will be backup and things like that. But who really want to be a backup? When I was just as a recruit, highly recruited this guy, and we probably got the same exact talent, but only one can play. The majority of the reps, and I want to transfer. The first story, oh yeah, 5-star recruit gets beat out by Joe Blow, and he wants to go to Akron. Now he got to go to FBS for a year, and then he got to sit out. He got to do other stuff, right? But it gives the athletes back some power and control of his career, because some people might not have the patience to wait, or some guys might feel like they just as good and could be playing or contributing more to another program, or some people might feel like they just picked the wrong school. But it gives the kid that power back a little bit over his career, because why don't a coach have to sit out when he go take another job? What is he taking that job for? He want to better his career. He want a better opportunity for his family.
Right.
But when that athlete want to take another job at another school to better his career, to have the opportunity to try to feed his family, he's looked down upon. He don't want to compete.
Do you think
Take a guy like.
Do you think
I'm
you
sorry,
would have
go
done it? Would you have done it?
I'm gonna circle back to that, but take a guy like, no offense to the guy, I'm pretty sure he an unbelievable coach and everybody got their reasons why they do other things. But take a guy like Jimbo Fisher, who leave Florida State to go to A&M when Florida State had maybe 1 or 2 bad recruiting classes or whatever they may be, or guys just didn't fit guys just didn't fit in their schemes, who deemed to be, because you had a lot of them situations where guy just, hey, he might not just don't have the passion anymore. He might just not work out for that university or for that style of play. And he can just up and leave and turn his back on kids that he recruited, that he had told that he was going to be there for 4 or 5 years. We're gonna love up on you. We're going to win this. We're going to win that. But you guys go, 5 and 7, 2 years, and you can go take another high-paying job somewhere else, and pretty much turn your back on them guys. And that's, look at the great opportunity Jimbo Fisher got, or whoever at this great university. But when it got transferred, it's looked down upon. So it definitely has put a little bit back power into the players' careers and what they want to do with their lives and what it may be. And even with the protocol, I had that conversation about transferring with our quarterback coach and our offensive coordinator at the time, a guy named Tom Herman, the year we won the championship. So a lot of people don't know the battle was pretty close between me and JT and the camp. And camp, this Braxton got hurt. So it went from battling for a backup spot to battling for a starting spot between me and him. So long story short, he ended up beating me out. And, our coach always said, hey, the battle was close. We think about having 2 quarterbacks. Just always stay ready. So we play our first game versus Navy. JT didn't struggle, but I definitely thought I would have had an opportunity to play, Then we come and play Virginia Tech at home, and, everybody knows the quarterback get all the praise when you guys win, when we win, and get all the blame when you lose. Well, our offense looked bad, and the first thing when you do when the offense look bad, you change the quarterback. So I'm thinking, this is definitely my opportunity to play. Our offense ain't moving the ball. We're going to take some shots downfield. But I didn't get that opportunity. And Virginia Tech goes on to beat us at home. And I remember going back to our coach and basically saying like, hey, like I feel like I should have played. Like, what's the plan and all this other stuff. He just gave me the coach's answer like, hey, stay ready, blah blah this. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm taking it because I'm ball in at this time. Like, I'm off my guys. This is my third year in school. I knew these guys for some time now. Like, whatever is going to make this team better, I'm all for it. So we get to about week 5 or 6, and JT is lighting it up. He is averaging like 600 yards of offense each week. And I remember it was a game we played Indiana. We go up 14-0. They come out and score 14 straight right back on us. And he just goes off. He became the leader and the vocal guy that everyone knows him to be now, I think, on the sideline of that game and in the locker room. And he comes out, we destroy Indiana because of his point. I think he rushed for like over 200 yards, threw for over like 500. And I'm just like, well, he's about to win the Heisman. So in my mindset now, okay, well, JT's about to win the Heisman. He's a freshman, redshirt freshman, year younger than me. Braxton Miller will be back next year, a guy who was probably going to win the Heisman this year too. I'm the odd man out. Even if they want to run a 2-quarterback system, and they ain't running the 3-1, So I had a conversation with Coach Herman about, hey, I want to, transfer because, not because I can't beat this guy out, but you guys are set. Like, let's be honest. When the guy Braxton get back a 3-year or 4-year start at this point in his career, we rightfully so should give him back his job because, he got hurt because of injury, and then JT is going to be next man up again. So I'm pretty much odd man out. So I was having a conversation about transferring with Coach Herman, and he kind of, I'm going to keep that conversation privately, but the things that he said and the things that we discussed definitely played into my decision to stay in. And this is before, like I said, this is mid-season. Who knew 6-7 games down the road JT's going to get hurt, and then everything happened.
So I guess I need to segue then to what that was like. I mean, it was such an amazing thing to watch from outside when you came in and you finally did get your shot, and the whole sequence of those last games of that season and then going through the bowl championship series. What was it like to be on the inside of it for you when you finally did get to do what you knew you were capable of doing?
It was, I think I was only nervous to that whole point was the first drive of the Big Ten championship game. And thank God we scored and threw a touchdown, because I don't know how it would have played out if we'd have went 3-and-out or turnover anything, because I know it's being recorded, but I was shitting bricks. I was so freaking nervous, guys. Like, I'm not going to lie. And then, Devin made a play, I'm throwing Zeke under the bus. Zeke ran the wrong route. Devin made a play over pretty much 3 people, Zeke and 2 other guys that shouldn't have been down there. And I'm just like, wow. Like, I'm surrounded by – I knew it from the sideline watching, but I'm surrounded by guys who can make plays and who are unbelievable players and athletes. I'm like, just don't fuck it up. So I'm just like, just don't mess it up, because I'm like, I'm the eyeball out. We already rolling. And if we mess it up, it's going to be all over my fault. So I'm like, just don't mess it up pretty much. And it was a big sign of relief, not feeling the pressure of, oh, my God, I got to do everything by myself, or, these guys don't trust me, or I don't trust these guys. Even though we only had a week together in the offense, them guys made me feel extremely comfortable. And that's pretty much the rest is history. Like, everybody asked how I was feeling. I was like, I was just feeling like, don't mess it up. That was pretty much it.
Josh, you get the last question for us tonight.
Hey, Cardale. So in your opinion, what do you think Ohio State does differently in order to really create that winning culture and to separate themselves from a majority of the other higher end Division I schools?
I think, and it's hard to kind of speak on Coach Day, because when a new coach come in, I probably 3 or 4 of them coaches now. When a new coach come in, he brings his own style, and it starts with the leadership, and it starts with, well, Coach Mick is still there, so I'm pretty sure they're preaching the same values and things like that. Coach Mick is a strength and conditioning coach, and I think it starts from the top. It starts with what that guy believes in, the little things. Like, we did so many little things that, looking back on it, really made our team. Like, far as the team building exercise we did, far as when the off-season program, we break the team out in 8 or 9 or 10 different teams to do all little things that help our team win overall, far as if it's freaking school stuff, if it's community service stuff, if it's clearly you compete against each other with workouts and other things like that. So building that camaraderie with your guys, and it really reflects on our relationship with each other now. And we, for I think 5-6 years out of school, like I cannot tell you guys, like I lived in my apartment, probably wasn't bigger than the room I'm in right now, and me and my team, me and my roommate Tyler's pal, we've had both games, it's on Xbox and PlayStation. When I say our apartment used to stay packed with teammates, it was unreal. Like we get done working out, busting our butts, whatever. We all come over playing video games, we hanging out, because that's the type of environment we built. We built an environment where we were scared not to fail because of us. I didn't want to let the guy next to me down. And you don't see a lot of that environment type stuff in professional sport because you don't have a real offseason in professional sports. You don't have an offseason with your guys the whole 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months before you start, camp. NFL and pro season and off season is you do on your own. You show up to camp, you better be ready to go. But that's the professionalism part about it. That's kind of assumed that you're gonna not let the guy down next to you. But Coach Meyer, his staff, he really built that from the ground up. I can remember my first days on campus, and I'm not going to tell you the real time we started because I'm pretty sure it was illegal. But we started our workouts really, really early in the morning outside. And I came into school the first year Coach Meyer came to school. So his first team meeting was my first team meeting. I came in early. And the way he went off on the team just went 6-7, just lost in the Gator Bowl to Florida. And I'm walking in as an early incoming freshman, and I'm excited, and he just shut all that down quick. Him and his staff, let them know that things are going to be different around here, and we'll see you guys. I'm not going to tell you when he started this. We'll see you guys blank, blank time and blank, blank date, but I'm pretty sure it was legal. No, looking back at it, and they took us through workouts where it was almost like military style training. That was Coach Meyer and his staff whole mindset when it came to doing it for the guy next to you, because clearly the military are the best at it when it comes to really sacrificing themselves for the guy next to them and things like that. So he built that mindset and that training style with us, and it really put yourself in a position on the field where I know if I don't know what I got to do, or if I don't get it done, it can affect him and his job. It can affect him and his job. It can affect them and this and that. So it's kind of a ripple effect that they created, and that's why you see a lot of his coaches, as far as Coach Meyer, who coach under him, go to other programs and have opportunity to be head coaches or coordinators or major roles, and they have success as well because they're taking the values and the training that Coach Meyer taught them to their programs.
So I guess I feel like I need to take it back where we started, which is, so I have the great fortune of teaching the freshman student athletes when they come in, and I teach them in June usually. Now we're going to do that online, and all of that summer prep time that you spent getting to know each other as teammates, and the idea of the next man up and that commitment you make to each other, we're not going to have because we're not going to be on campus together. What do you think the effect is going to be moving forward with this next team, looking at kind of that gap?
When you speak of effect on players and such a broad effect on a team, you look at the leadership. That's a job that is going to speak record. It's going to speak numbers on Ryan Day's ability to coach and connect. Because what everybody's going to say about his first year, all urban recruits and this and that and this and that. That was his first year. Now you got some of his own guys that he's bringing in and installing to the things that he's already have in place, and pretty much hopefully they just jump on the bandwagon and keep it rolling smooth. So that'll definitely be a challenge for him not being around them guys, especially Coach Mick, because Coach Mick is really responsible for 90% of that because of the things that he put us through physically and mentally at some point. But it definitely will have an effect. It just will speak on the effect of the head coach at first, and then the leaders of that team who are returning, like Justin Fields and a couple of guys that's returning who know how the program is supposed to be ran and things like that. So it just depends on how well they're communicating that and how detailed they are when it comes to hey, we don't do that here, or this is how we do it, like jump in line, or because that's what I was grateful about when my first year we had guys like that. we had John Simons and Jack Newhorns and Marcus Hall and Christian Bryant. You know, we had guys that it'd be better for you to jump on the bandwagon. Trust me.
Cardale, we are so privileged that you spent this time with us. Thank you so much for talking with us, and we're glad to see you back in Ohio, and we wish you all the best. We hope to see you on the field very soon.
Appreciate it. That is the plan. I got my fingers crossed.
And please stay well and stay healthy.
Same to you guys. Thanks for having me, guys. Like I said, whenever I have opportunity to jump on, I would love to. And good luck to all you guys in your careers. And hopefully one of you guys are giving me a pretty tough question to ask in a press conference. I'm a grill your ass.